We're going to cover a couple of sections here, weather and climate, and 8.2, classifying climate. So let's get right to it here. Weather and climate. So defining weather, we're looking at atmospheric conditions, including temperature, precipitation, wind, and humidity. And the key is this is over a short period of time. That is weather. We've all seen a weather report before. There's one right there. Climate, on the other hand, is over a long period of time. So classifying climate, there's a couple of different ways. We've got climate zones that are grouped together by the amount of precipitation, their temperature, and the things that live there. And you can see some of the climate zones here. I'm sure you've heard of some of them. Temperate, tropical, Arctic. Those are some of your classic climate zones. We also have ecoregions that are landforms. They have soil, plant, and animal considerations. The text said there are 867 on the planet Earth. Please don't try to memorize them all. So those are the two ways that climate is determined in terms of regions. There is also something called a bioclimate profile, and I've got a couple here, and these are graphical representations of future and past. We're going to take a closer look at these a little bit later in the course. Additionally, in this section, we need to talk about the 5 natural causes of climate: altitude, latitude, topography, bodies of water, and some wind action. So looking a little closer at these here, we've got altitude, which just simply says the higher you go in the atmosphere, the lower the temperature. So if you lived on top of Mount Everest up here, you'd probably have to assume it would be pretty cold up there. So altitude can depend or can influence your climate. Next, we've got latitude. So this is talking about where you live on the planet. So we know that the equator runs through the middle. You get direct sunlight there. You get generally the warmest temperatures. And when you go up or down, the angle of the sun changes. So you're getting less direct sunlight. So your temperatures start to drop until they're the coldest at the 2 poles. Very good. Next one is topography. So this is like the physical features of the landscape. So if we're talking mountains and valleys here, that would be the topography that can influence the conditions that you'd be seeing over long term. Again, in this picture here, you've got snowy mountains, and over here it looks like we've got some tropical areas, tropical-ish. Why does that happen? So there's a rather complicated slide here. Just taking a quick look at this picture, we've got wind coming in and going up the mountain. And on this side of our mountain here, we've got a nice forest. The wind gets compressed, and the air gets compressed, and it condenses, and you get a lot of moisture on this side of your mountain. And you'll notice on the other side of the mountain, we get this dry wind coming down, and so we've got drier conditions. So this is how the mountain has affected the climate on a couple of sides here. Another factor would be the ocean currents, and convection currents are something that can be discussed here. It's just essentially convection currents is warm water or warm air rises while at the same time cold water or cold air sinks, and it tends to be this cycle effect. That's exactly what those 2 points say. So here we've got some ocean currents. In the video you would have already watched, I think it talked about England here, and you can see we've got a nice warm current going by England, so it's got nice warm temperatures. And latitude-wise, Moscow is, I don't know, right about there, and Moscow is cold a lot of the year. So they have the same latitude in common, but the ocean currents are what causes this area to be nice and warm. So the opposite effect, you can have colder regions, colder ocean currents flowing and causing those regions to be cold. You can also have the same idea here with wind. So winds can affect the climate, and you can see we've got red for warm winds, and we've got blue for the cold winds. So that's going to bring that type of weather into those regions, or climate, I should say. And lastly, you can also have winds on a regional scale, and that can be affected too by the topography. So there you go. There are your 5 factors that influence climate.